I remember sitting in a coffee shop once, overhearing two women talking at the next table. One of them said something that completely stopped me mid-sip. She said, "He thinks he's amazing because he can lift me against a wall. But I just want him to hold me still for 5 minutes." And the other woman didn't even react. She just nodded and quietly said, "Because being still is harder." That line doesn't leave you. It lingers because it reveals something most people never talk about. What women actually crave isn't effort. It isn't performance. It isn't even skill. It's presence, and strangely, that's the one thing many men struggle to give. Think about it for a second. Why is it so easy to move, to perform, to do something, but so difficult to just stay still, to look someone in the eyes, and simply be there? Because stillness is uncomfortable. It removes the mask, no distractions, no movement to hide behind, no way to escape the moment, just you and another person, seeing you exactly as you are. And that's where real connection begins. Not in movement, not in effort, but in presence. Today, we're going deeper than surface level advice. This isn't about techniques. It's not about trying harder. This is about understanding something most people completely miss. What women feel, but rarely explain out loud, and once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere. Let's start with something that looks simple. Almost too simple. Two people sitting close, face to face. No distractions, no urgency, just shared space. Most people underestimate moments like this. They think, "I'm not doing anything." But that's exactly why it matters. Because when you stop trying to impress, you start allowing something real to happen. When there's no performance, there's honesty. When there's no rush, there's awareness. And when there's no distance, there's nowhere to hide. For her, this kind of moment isn't just about closeness. It's about vulnerability. It's the silent question. Can you stay here with me? Without needing to escape? And most people don't even realize they're answering that question, not with words, but with their behavior. Every time you reach for distraction, every time you break eye contact too quickly, every time you shift because the silence feels too heavy, you're saying something. You're saying, "I'm not fully comfortable being here," and she feels that, even if she never says it. Now think about the opposite. Think about the rare moment when someone is completely present with you, not checking their phone, not rushing the conversation, not trying to be impressive, just there. There's a calmness in that, a quiet kind of confidence, and more importantly, a sense of safety, because presence creates safety, and safety creates openness, and openness is where real connection lives. Now let's shift the perspective. Think about the moments when she's not trying to impress you, when she's quiet, relaxed, not performing, not overthinking, just existing as she is. Those are the moments that matter most. But they're also the moments most people overlook because they're subtle. They're not loud or dramatic. They don't look like effort, but emotionally, they mean everything. Because in those moments, she's showing you her real self without filters, without adjustment, without trying to earn your attention. And what she's silently asking is, "Am I still enough?" Like this? Not when she's at her best, not when she's trying, but when she's simply being. And how you respond in those moments defines everything. If you're distracted, she feels it. If you're distant, she notices. If you're only engaged when things are exciting, she understands. But if you're present, if you stay, if you give your attention without needing anything in return, that's when something shifts. Because attention, real attention, is rare. Most people are physically there, but mentally somewhere else, thinking ahead, planning responses, waiting for their turn to speak. Very few people actually arrive in the moment, fully. And when you do that, you stand out instantly, not because you're doing more, but because you're finally doing less, less proving, less performing, less trying to control the moment, and more feeling it. Now here's where it gets even deeper, because this isn't just about being present. It's about being comfortable in that presence. Anyone can sit still for a few seconds, but staying there, without tension, without the urge to escape, that takes something else. It takes self-awareness, it takes confidence, and more than anything, it takes emotional control. Because when you're fully present with someone, you're also fully exposed. There's no script, no role to play, no distraction to lean on, just you, exactly as you are. And that's why so many people avoid it, not consciously, but instinctively. They fill the silence, They create movement. They turn moments into action, because action feels safer than stillness. But here's the truth most people never realize. Stillness is where connection is built, not in intensity, not in performance, but in the quiet moments, where nothing is happening. Yet everything is being felt. Now think about this. Sometimes she doesn't want to be led. Sometimes she doesn't want to be impressed. Sometimes she just wants to be seen, to feel appreciated. Without having to ask for it, to feel like in that moment, she matters. Not because of what she's doing, not because of how she looks, not because of how she's acting, but simply because she's there, and you're there with her. Fully. That's the part most people miss. They think connection comes from doing more, from saying the right things, from creating the perfect moment, but often it comes from removing everything unnecessary and just showing up completely. Because when you do that, you create something rare, a space where she doesn't have to perform, a space where she doesn't have to think, a space where she can just exist and feel accepted in that existence. That's powerful, and it doesn't require skill. It doesn't require experience. It doesn't require effort in the way people think. It just requires presence, real presence. And when you step back and look at everything we've talked about, you start to see the pattern. It was never about what you do. It was never about how impressive you are. It was never about how much effort you put in. It's about how present you are while you're there. Because in the end, everyone is looking for the same thing: to feel seen, to feel safe, to feel chosen without needing to ask for it. And maybe the real question isn't, am I doing enough? But, am I truly there? Because if you can answer that honestly, you won't need to overthink anything else. Everything changes from that point forward.